right? Your words. Women love words. So if you're coming to me with something,
because we are the do's and the don'ts we are coming down to, but you want to speak in the camera and tell all some men who don't know how to talk that women what?
Love words. They love to talk.
Welcome to the New Foundation Christian Ministries B1 Marriage Ministry video podcast. I'm your host, Donald McFarlane, and with me
is your co-host, Natalie Irving Mattox.
Very well. Natalie, so you dress out today, you're hot like
Thank you, sir.
fire, because today is the woman on set. We have invited some women to be very candid as we continue under the theme of the 3 R's: the red flag, the reasons for marriage, and the recommendations in the marital relationship. So we look forward to this very exciting time, even as we had a good build up towards this, Natalie. Natalie, I see you are a little subdued in this session, but
no, I'm not.
But we are going to really delve into the matters at hand, and we have 2 gorgeous, attractive women. Sadly, for those who look on, they're already married. They are taken. Very married they are. And it is my privilege to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves on set. So it seems I see the look away from Kay as if you're saying, take it, son. Is that what you're saying? All right. So let's hear, who is this lovely lady?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
So my name is Zonia Wright Henlan, and I am married to Warren Henlan. We have two beautiful children, Zaria and Zidane Henlan. Zidane is 13 and Zaria is 10 years old. And I am an investigator.
You are an investigator.
Well, a trained counselor, but I am an investigator by profession.
Counseling. So you are churched or not, are you?
And I am a member of the New Foundation Christian Ministries.
Very well, very well.
Yes.
You have any special year of ministry there in that church?
Sure.
Yeah.
I am the women's president, and I am also the director of Prayer and Fasting Ministries as well. And I'm also one of the administrator leaders of the church.
Last time I checked that. All right, this is very powerful, Zonia. Right, Henlan. So great having you, Zonia. You're looking decked out and loud. All right, let's speak to this very imposing figure over here now. Let's hear who you are, ma'am.
Good day, everyone. My name is Kay-Ann Foster. I am married to Oral Foster. He would have been on set previously, but let's continue. We have 2 lovely children, Zamari and Xavier Foster. I am an air traffic controller by profession, and I am a member of the New Foundation Christian Ministries. I am not so sure what else to tell you about me, but
yes, you were involved in some area of ministry there as a director, yes.
Yes, I am the director of family life and pastoral care.
Yes. So as I understand it, you're the one who takes care of the bishop and the pastors of the New Foundation Christian Ministries.
Yes.
Very well.
But I want to add 2 things that we have been married for 17 years, 17 wonderful years when you sum it up. And additionally, I have been a Christian since I was 10 years old.
Now we will delve into the matter. But needless to say, Kay-Ann, it's great having you. I like your shocking colors, on set here. And
looking ravishing as well.
Oh, you are the one to say that word.
If I'd known everybody would have been in dark colors, I would have done same.
No, the contrast is very, very telling and important. So it's great having you both. Now, this B1 Marriage Ministry video podcast is geared to impact the widest, cross section of persons, those who have not yet been married and are aspiring to, those who are married, even so, and can benefit from the discussions that we have. But quite frankly, what we seek to get at are real stuff. And that's why I believe Natalie's instrumentality to have you both here and set, because you know how to talk up the things.
Keep it real. We want to keep it real for us. Yes.
Keep it real.
Yes.
Try.
Yes. We are proud to be persons, say, are in the church and are Christians, but we are also real people. And we have to talk the language of the people. So that's why we want you to bring to us and to our audience the details as it relates to this important theme that we are under. So let's kick off the ball rolling here by saying, want to ask you, what would have represented a red flag for you? This is now pre-married. You may not have met Warren yet, and certainly not Oral yet.
Right.
But as a,
Young,
attractive.
hot, attractive, yes.
Did you say hot? You are believing that they were hot when they were...
Yes, man, I know of the stories.
You know this. All right. So...
They would have testified.
Yes. Well, isn't that great? So, whilst you were the then hottie. Yes.
I'm not so sure I was, Bishop.
No. That you were hottie? But we
Not
have
so sure.
researched it and we have come to understand otherwise. Were you the person that was in a bank when your husband spoke in tongues to you?
That's an interesting question.
Yes.
I'm not so sure. Yes, I was in the bank, and that was a chance encounter that has impacted us for the rest of our lives.
We're missing out something interestingly, and that helps us to get back on track, which is we are now actually talking about how you met your spouse.
Yes.
Right? So he would have shared with us at some time in the past that he was in the bank and saw this hottie, and he was studying Spanish at the time and said something in Spanish that was quite naughty.
I don't recall it being naughty. What I do recall, Bishop, is that he was on his phone,
Yes.
and I thought I heard him call my name. So I turned around and I said, "Dispensame," which translates in English to mean "excuse me." Yeah. And he goes, "She speaks Spanish."
Yeah.
And so, Rev, we struck up a conversation. I was like maybe about 5 years not having done a Spanish class and not remembering all the words. Yeah. And I was speaking Spanglish and he was speaking Spanish. Then he said, "Dispensame." Rather, he said, "Casándome, por favor." And I go from the word casar, which means to, because this is 5 minutes in the conversation. He says, "To marry." I'm like, "You did not just ask me to marry you." 5 minutes into the conversation, and he thought that what he was getting in the bank, the laughter we were having, was something he wanted for the rest of his lives. Well, here we are.
Well, but hear this. What is interesting about this is that this man is speaking Spanish, and clearly he never called your name. How could you have thought he mentioned your name May I ask, were you kind of a disposition looking somebody in a different way?
Definitely not on that day, Rev. In fact, I would tell myself that I was going through a period of depression at the time, and I really didn't want anybody to talk to me. Yes. I was just in the bank being all by myself. So when I heard him, there's some name with Ann at the end. So that's why I turned around and said, dispenser me. So I definitely was not looking anybody at that time. In fact, I was coming out of a previous relationship at the time that didn't go so well, and at that time I was swearing off men. Me no want nobody.
Yes. Right.
Writing them off.
Yes. But what is interesting though, is that we had a real discussion with him, because what speaks to him in terms of affection, in terms of interest, is somebody who's quite conversant. Yes. So what they would say, destiny would have it. Yes. That this was how it started with you. Right. And knowing you as we know you, because as you know that she's the one who trains us in public speaking in the ministry. Yes. So you were that find for him. So that was how you met. Very well. So I'll come back to the red flags, but let's take it over to Zon. How did you and the Warren meet?
So Kean's story is a little bit, well, my story is a bit different from Kean. Yeah. Warren and I met at a car wash. Back then, I was a party girl. I was a club girl. Whoa. Right? So
yes, no.
I was the arty, right? I love to dress up and still love to dress up. So it's not something that is new coming into the kingdom. I like to look good. Yeah. And the first day he saw me, he said, that girl is going to be my wife.
Wow.
So I didn't really like him at first, right? But he pursued me. It didn't work out at first. And I think a year and a half passed or 2 years passed, and he came around again and started pursuing me. And I realized that he was serious. And Warren is family oriented, and that was something that drew me to him.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So you were the real hottie out there.
The real hottie.
Lord have mercy.
Good to have a hottie friend, Bishop.
Yes. But I like the persistence of Warren.
Yes.
He saw what he wanted and he pursued it.
Yes.
I remember on one couple's night, he was making a point to the effect that not even Denzel Washington could really, take you away from him, essentially. That's the point he was making, But anyhow, so that was how you guys came to know each other and so on. But take us then.
I want to go back to the red flags.
The red flags.
Natalie, you should be talking more because...
No, it's okay. We'll share it as usual.
Because I really put the men, when I did meet with them, on pins,
Yes, and I'll do that for you.
You'll put the ladies.
I will.
You'll represent me.
I will represent you.
Yes. Natalie, you must tell me when they are using their woman influence to overpower me, no, Natalie. All right. But yes.
The red flags.
Right, red flags. Okay. Right. So what would have in your hotty days, in your marriage days, what would have jumped out at you as a red flag whether it is that you see a man or a man approach you? Yeah. What would be a clear red flag for you?
Well, there are many red flags.
Yes.
And red flags can be good and it can be bad, right? So for me, I believe back then, a red flag for me is somebody, depending on the type of relationship that they have with their mother or their sisters, right, is something that I look at. If they are family oriented, I look at their background in terms of generation. Like, for example, if they have persons in their family who would have married, how long they would have married, and So those are some of the things. If I see, if I'm seeing like a broken relationship between the mother and the son, I know that I will have a lot of mother issues to deal with, and so I would have to really look deep into that to see if something that I can take on. So I look at that as a red flag for me. I also look at the relationship with the father, and you know that father is very important in terms of mentorship, right? If there is a great influence or no influence of the father, a father figure in the home, then that for me is also a red flag. A man who doesn't have a mentorship, like a great role model in the home in terms of how to treat a woman, will not know necessarily how to treat a woman if he doesn't have that person to look up to. And so for me, I use that also, the way how he treats me. I love attention.
But let me jump in on that there, Sonia. Because it sounds to me that you are making a catalog of these points. The fact that you have studied in areas of psychology and counseling.
Right.
But in those times, you were not so knowledgeable.
Rev, I believe, even though I wasn't that knowledgeable in terms of, not studied,
Yes.
I've not studied,
Yes.
I believe based on my development, I knew what I wanted from day one, right? So, knowing what I want, I'm going to look for it. And if I'm not seeing it in you, then I don't want it. It makes no sense to play around with something that doesn't have the characteristics or the qualities that you want, because it's going to create issues later on. So from day one, I knew what I want. Yes.
All right. But I want to bring another part to it, which is you can only know those things when you come to know me, learn about me like that. Yes?
All right, so let us go to like dating.
But before I get to dating,
What would have attracted you?
I'm saying you see me
men
or
at the
I
time.
say hi,
Yes.
right? So you don't know my background and that. I want to know from even that inception stage,
Right.
if red flags are likely to be seen. You know, what is it? Those things would be. Am I making sense?
Right.
Yes. So it's a guy who drives up and he sees at the car wash and he says hi, but immediately you see a red flag. What would that be? Because you haven't spoken to him enough to know if he has good family background, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So what would be red flags for you in that kind of, so to speak, embryonic stage?
All right, so if it's somebody that I'm meeting for the first time, it depends on how the person approach me. So it depends on how that's big.
Hold on
you
now.
know?
Take us into
Yeah,
the
man, I love
approach.
that one.
So if it's somebody coming with some foolishness, like you drop out of the sky or heaven or something, can't strike up a good conversation, listen, that is a turn off for me.
All right, so approach is very important.
It's very important.
Very
You will tell
important.
your story, but we have to come back to
So the way how you approach me, right?
We'll climb a tree for you and so on.
Just don't come with some conversation that is not realistic. That's not going anywhere.
Right.
That for me is going to tell me, your thought process, how intellectual you might be, how you're going to be able to keep me in a conversation. It's going to tell me if this person is a dreamer, you understand, or a visionary based on what you're saying to me, right? Your words. Women love words. So if you're coming to me with something...
Because we have the do's and the don'ts we are coming down to, but you want to speak in the camera and tell all some men who don't know how to talk that women what?
Love words. They love to talk. They love conversation.
Approach.
Yes, the approach. And I also look at, I don't know if I may, but women love to see, and it's not like, I'm not talking about pretty cars no, like Charlene have pretty car eyes, sorry if anybody know that song, but I am talking about how the person just carry themselves. they
Okay.
how confident they are.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
The whole how they dress and how they smell.
Smell and
So
dressing.
if you are seeing somebody who them pants are down here, so them look raggedy, you know, you don't want that. You understand? Because you want somebody who is going to carry you off too. So if we are talking about the first approach.
Yeah, yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Somebody who can
Yes.
represent.
Somebody who can represent you.
So if it doesn't look good, and if he doesn't smell good,
Yes.
and he doesn't know how to
Approach
approach
you.
In doom.
all these,
Yeah,
he
can't
doesn't-
talk.
doesn't have
Don't know
chance.
what to say.
Don't know what to say.
Yes.
All right. I will allow you to catch your breath because you'll have to give me a sample of how the man should approach you. but you know, Natalie, on that note, why? So it sounds as if we are making it quite standard that is the man to do the approach. Is that what we are doing here?
No, we're not.
You know.
We're not, but that's for another conversation. Let's go on.
Just saying.
Just said.
K-Ann Foster,
Yes, sir.
help us to understand what represented then some red flags for you upon seeing a person or a person approaching you.
I need to think far back first.
Yes.
And one of the red flags for me is having been in church since I was very young, was that at the time, there were persons in church who were living lives, who were homosexuals really, but then they wanted to get married to the young girls in order for it to be a cover. And so that was something I had to be looking out for. So in terms of whether or not you were effeminate, this is speaking to the persons or the cadre of persons I knew in church now. I had to know what was your reputation like and whether or not you were covering something. So that would have been a major red flag for me. Like Zonia, the approach was something that would take the cake, right? You had to approach me in such a manner that I wanted to have conversation with you because I love to have a conversation. In the past, I was touted a lot of times as having different relationships, when in truth and in fact, this was not so. So there are some guys who would have said to me, oh, I would be with this other guy. But it was simply because I liked conversation. So if everybody is in the crowd and talking and it is somewhat superficial, I'll perhaps be sitting aside with somebody having a more meaningful conversation. Additionally, it was too that...
You want to make another point of red flag?
No, it wasn't on necessarily red flag, but saying that I had a lot of male friends. I had more male friends than I had female friends, really. So that for me told me or built for me what it is that I wanted to see in a guy.
Right.
Unfortunately, though, Rev, one of the things that happened is that it so happened that I saw everybody as my brother.
Okay. All right. All right. But I wanted to go back to the point, just for clarity, because of what seemingly was predominant in the church at the time in terms of the sexual preference, homosexuality. That kind of just influenced you big time in dismissing somebody if there were effeminate traces. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
So once somebody, whether approach you or if you see somebody who you might want to like, and there's a streak of effeminate behavior, looks or whatever, that's
a big red flag for me. Additionally, one of my sayings at the time is that I like to have my own way, Rev.
Yes.
I I love to have my own way, but I like a man who will let me have my own way, but know when to step in to say he's the man, if you understand what I'm saying. So if you're going to be this rollover type of guy, then I don't think
Like
that was a very red flag for me.
Remember that when we go over to the do's and the don'ts to see very well. But you are enumerating the red flags, and you said the approach was, well, it seemed like Destiny again would have it, because you are strong in conversational relationship, as all women are, but you have a particular desire that, and your husband made no bones about that. In fact, it was painstaking for us when we had him on set to wonder if anything physically attracted him to a relationship, because all he was delving on, the person had to be able to have a conversation. Yeah, so you're that type of person. But anything else that comes to mind in your day, as though you want to make it like you have been in the church all of your life? Yeah, church people.
Almost all of my life, right? But that doesn't mean that I would not have also experienced what was also out there in the world. And a red flag for me, like Zonia, was what it was that it was your family makeup. Was it something that every day you guys get up and there's a fight? What was it that was happening in your home? And if I saw that, or if I knew of that, that would have been a big red flag. As a matter of fact, my husband might have told you that he would have pursued me after initially meeting. He would have pursued me for maybe like about 3-4 months. And I would not have given him the time of day.
Yes, he did. He's trying to rebrand himself.
Yes. In after we met in the bank, he invited me to lunch. I wanted to refuse, but he said, let's go somewhere that's public. And so we went to this public place where there are other persons, and we had lunch. He gave me his number, and I walked away and I threw it in the bin, because at the time I was really not looking for somebody to be in a relationship with. But to follow on from that is that when he took me to meet his father, his parents, we were not in a relationship, but he was being very strategic. He asked me out, and he decided to go to see his parents. And one of the first things that hit me like a thunderbolt was when we walked in and he hugged his dad. I mean, there was these two big men just in one embrace, and I had not seen that for a while. And that was something for me that represented, this is something I would want to have. The sort of relationship that was there with his father. And that, the spin side of that is that not having a good relationship in the home was a red flag for me.
Gotcha. What can I say? It has been real nice talking to you fantastic ladies.
Yes.
And we are very happy here on the B1 Marriage Ministry video podcast.
Want to really thank them for coming.
Yes.
Also want to thank our sponsor, Mattox Health and Fitness. Also, our resident producer, George Malcolm Walker, our program director, Damian De Aguilar. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at New Foundation Christian Ministries. Like us on Facebook at New Foundation Christian Ministries, and on B1 Marriage Ministry is our Instagram page. Thank you for watching.
Next
Goodbye.
time.